My least favorite part of return to office is all of the smells. There are so many smells all the time at one time, and I simply don't have those problems at home.
Hello everyone, this is Emmanuel Cook. We will be reacting to a new video today, so make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's get into the video.
The jig is up. The jig is up, okay? We have now been back in the office a couple of days a week for a couple of months now. I think in general, I attempt to make it to the office a couple of days a week, unless I just have other things going on, like traveling for work. We have a couple of weeks of work from anywhere. Also PTO and sick leave. So in the last couple of months, I've had a lot of all of those things. And so I haven't been in the office 3 days a week. I just got an email that says, hey girl, you haven't been in the office. You haven't been in the office 3 days a week, even though we open these things back up. What's going on? Talk to your manager. And I feel like someone just read my diary. I feel invaded on because you shouldn't know that information. And if you do know that, you should know I got things going on, okay? I have extenuating circumstances. Don't come at me.
I think that return to office mandates are especially cruel when it comes to working single parents. And I'm being very intentional when I say return to office and not return to work, because people who have been working from home have been working from home this entire time. And so here's why I say this, because for one, childcare costs are through the roof. Have you looked at the average childcare cost in your area? I'm willing to bet that what that costs is more than a lot of people's rent or even their mortgage at this point. I just took a look at the local childcare costs in my area on Long Island, and it ranges for babies. It ranges from $900 to $2,000 per month per child. Who is affording that? Then on top of that, you add the costs it takes to actually commute to work. Then subtract the time that you get to actually see your child. It's not good for the parents and it's not good for the kids. All of that to commute to an office, to do a job that you can do at home just as well, if not better. Make it make sense. And if you're like, oh, we were doing it before the pandemic. Yes, we were. And it was absolutely miserable. Ask me how I know, because I did it myself. As a single mother, it's not a good setup for children. And you would think that we would learn from history and learn from events like the pandemic and want to create a better future and not dial it back. Because now we know that it doesn't have to be the way it used to be. And we all know that the group of single parents that will be affected the most are going to be single mothers, which in turn is just going to reduce the amount of women in the workforce overall. But you know what? Maybe that's the point of this. Maybe that's what they actually want.
It's my first day back at work after working from home for almost 3 years, right? I'm not even gonna complain. Was I stuck in traffic for a little bit? Sure. But then I got here, I made myself a free cup of coffee. I'm using their toilet paper. I'm using their Wi-Fi, okay? I turned my heat off this morning so I could save some money on my gas bill. I'm not even gonna complain. I think I'm gonna have a good day. Look at the lighting. I wet my sweater, but when you change your perspective, I put some makeup on, we're gonna have a good day. On a bathroom break, they gave us pizza instead of a raise, but hey, I'll eat the food that I brought to lunch. I'll eat that for dinner so that way I don't have to cook tonight. So a win is a win. I have two and a half hours to go until I'm back home. I made it home. I was stuck in traffic, but I made it home. The first day was fine. Let's see if I still feel this way tomorrow morning.
I feel really sad that this is a step backwards in our society. I'm talking about return to office mandates that are happening. I'm seeing a massive change. This is happening not only in my experience, but to a lot of my friends and family, where for years now, from COVID on, folks have been able to work remotely or hybrid. Before you jump in and say, in my field, I need to be in person. Yeah, there's a lot of fields and jobs where you need to be. And so those don't apply here. I'm talking about jobs where you actively can get your job done from a computer at home or anywhere. Now these companies are saying maybe they're starting with return to the office 1 to 2 days, and then it starts getting, oh, bam, now you're required 5 days. This is massively impacting families. It predominantly impacts women in the career space as well. So women still to this day often are the majority caretaker in their home of their family and their children. So when you're requiring people to come back to the office that have been experiencing the ability to work remote and balance and juggle that with their families, it's adding so much more stress on them financially. Think about having to find extra daycare, the cost of daycare, finding the daycare, commuting to daycare, the cost of gas, and the impact on the environment. I am now commuting from no commute at all, working at home, to 2 to 3 hours a day to get to my job. That's 2 to 3 hours to commute just to get to work. That's 2 to 3 hours that I could have been spending time with my family, getting our appointments out of the way, doing household chores so that I'm not up till midnight. These are the things that benefited parents and working parents and families to have a work-life balance and get these other things done to meet them where they need. Now, let's talk about productivity and getting your job done. So all these companies are saying, it's about productivity. Well, shouldn't it be that if that employee is still getting their work done and their performance is there, they're doing a great job, that's what matters. It's not that person has their butt in their seat, because I guarantee there's a lot of people that have their butts in their seat that are messing around. The reality is that people take breaks. If somebody needs to take their dog out on a walk, if somebody needs to pop over to run a quick errand, to grab something from the pharmacy, or someone needs to go for a walk, do the dishes, get a quick load of laundry in, but they're still performing well, they're hitting their performance, they're great employees, they're getting their job done, there shouldn't be a problem with that. But it's this archaic notion that butts have to be in seats. I need to see you to know you're doing your job. And that's just not how it should be. Help us live fruitful, quality lives, and in return, we will be very loyal employees. We'll be happier employees. And isn't that what we all want? I'm passionate about this topic. I will always advocate for families and parents. It's inclusive to advocate for families and mothers. We talk about inclusivity a lot, and rightfully so. And let's include families and moms in that and try to meet people where they are, because the 9-to-5 workday started when there was someone at home. It was usually the man would go into work and there was a woman at home, or maybe it was vice versa. And that's not reality today. My kid's school doesn't get done at 5. Let's support each other to create a fruitful living for everyone. And in turn, we'll be loyal and work our butts off for your company.
So this is a real reason they don't want you working from home. So I was just in a meeting with like some really big tech people. This is like a conference style meeting, workshop. Like I am talking about, there's some really big names in this meeting. So we're talking, and they do a presentation on the economy for 2025 and whatever. And like, that's what this meeting is for. And then one of the people asked this person, I won't mention the name, but they asked this person, how are you guys solving the issue of employees asking for more money and bigger raises in 2025 whenever like businesses aren't doing well? And he said, you got to get them to return to office. And I was like, not computing, right? Like I am literally like that meme. And his answer was, and I quote, because I can't make this up. Well, when people are working from home, they feel like they can exploit you more, because a lot of your employees are doing side hustles, working remotely, working multiple jobs, doing all these things that they would not do when they're in your office. So they're making more money, or they feel more financially safe because they have multiple sources of income or whatever it is. So when you get them to work from home, they're depending on you for their salary, so they're a lot less loud. I'm sitting here like, and everyone around me is taking notes.
If you've been along this saga of return to office, you'll know that I work in tech full-time, in addition to being a career coach, and my company is having the return to office mandate start October 1st. I am expected to go in 3 days a week, which in grand scheme of things doesn't sound so bad, because if you've heard the news, Amazon this week shared that they are asking all employees to come back 5 days a week. And I'm just like, how did we get here, right? Like, even prior to the pandemic, there were companies in tech and like other companies too that were allowing people to have that flexible work schedule, work from anywhere, like come to the office when you want. And then post-pandemic, you know, 5 years later almost, like, here we are, and we're just going backwards, and I just don't understand it. I get so fired up about this because I just get so annoyed with these executives that are saying, you know, return to office, like, team camaraderie, team productivity, we're better together in the office. It's like, no, we're not. We proved to you that we're not during the pandemic. You saw profits skyrocket because people were home and had flexibility and, like, got to work when they wanted to work and when it fit in their schedule. Like, this is going backwards. This is going to have ramifications that they don't even realize. Like, profits are going to go down more than likely. People are going to be unhappy. People are going to be having a mass exodus of these companies. And maybe that's what they want. I think in the grand scheme of things, like, that is one of the reasons why these companies are doing this, is so that they don't have to lay off people and pay severance. Like, they're wanting people to, like, leave on their own accord. And let's be honest, they also have, you know, investors that are in real estate. And it's these real estate investors that are probably putting pressure on them to say, hey, we've invested in your corporate real estate efforts. We need to see bodies in the office. We need to see X amount % of your workforce in the office. That is what's happening. And that's what pisses me off, is that these corporations and executives are not being upfront about the real reason. Like, just be upfront, take accountability. Say you have investors in real estate. Say you have to have X % in the office. Like, be real, be authentic. Don't hide behind the shadows of, like, team productivity. It's not that. Like, that's what I get really angry about. I love authentic leadership. I love when leaders are real and honest and transparent. We need more of that in our corporate culture because, again, it's not fully happening, and I'm fired up.
I'm starting to believe that some of these employers want us to go back into the office is because some of these employees have no friends. I know some companies receive tax breaks and incentives to bring employees back into the office, but some of these companies also are not receiving any of that, and they're just doing it for the hell of it. Then when you do want to collaborate in office on a project or have a question, that value goes straight out of the window. They don't want to collaborate with you. They're like, oh, you can handle it on your own, or you can finish this all by yourself. What happened to collaboration? What's wild is you may go into another room to get some peace and quiet while still doing your work and messaging them on Teams or Slack, and they'll have an uproar because they didn't see you at your desk. Then you'll be like, dude, I was just collaborating with you earlier. I was in a meeting room with you for 30 minutes. And they'll be like, we want you to sit outside with us. And it's like, no, you just want to micromanage people. And when you say that kind of stuff to them, they're like, no, we just really want to include you in the conversation. Meanwhile, they're not talking about anything work-related or important. They're talking about what they ate for dinner last night and their weekend plans. It's like, we're here to do our job. I can talk about last night's meal and weekend plans with my friends. I don't need to talk about it with my coworkers who I have barely anything in common with and who get on my last dang nerve. And some coworkers say, well, it gets very lonely working at home. I don't really have anyone to talk to. Then go get some friends. And I've noticed a trend. The managers plus that complain about people not coming into the office frequently are the same ones that have poor management skills. So if you're a manager and you're watching this video and you complain about people not going into the office frequently, maybe you should take a look at yourself and your social skills.
A quick reminder, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's continue the video.
Just informed that work from home is officially ending with my employer. And right along with it, we'll be working after hours. No more weekends, no more evenings, no more laptop coming home.
If you have been working remotely since the pandemic started and you're now going into office in person, how is that transition going for you? I'm curious because I still work remotely, thank God, but I am at an in-person work thing and it's only day 2 and my social battery is at 0. I cannot, even being forced to speak to people at 9 a.m., I'm like, I can't do this. And I've realized that I can never go back to in-person work. I honestly don't think I can. My introvert heart will not survive it. So I need to know, for those of y'all who have been forced to go back into the office full time, what is that like? Are you adjusting back to when you used to be in the office? Or are you just struggling like I am right now?
My friend just said the funniest damn thing to me. She has to go into the office a couple days a week to swipe her badge. I call it badge swipe day. As an ADHD or multi-passionate, I've got this whole idea for an entire line of merch around it. And I need other badge swipers to weigh in for me, okay? Here's what I need. She said that on Fridays, she goes in, swipes her badge, badge swipe day. There's a 7:30 a.m. leadership meeting for an hour and a half. And the funniest damn thing she said, she's like, I don't know how I survive these. I'm driving into the office, mainlining my coffee the entire drive. And then they don't think I'm going to have to pee in the middle of this hour and a half meeting? So if you're a badge swiper, can you please weigh in and help me understand? What are your feelings about having to go into the office? And in particular, if you didn't have to go into the office post-COVID and now they have reinstituted a return to office plan, RTO, I believe it is called. How'd that go over?
As for me, I work in the office as well, and I have to swipe my badge. It is not as bad as it is stated, and it is human nature to adapt, right? So people will get used to working from the office again and make the necessary changes for their life. But as for me personally, I really don't mind it, honestly. I understand that it is a bit inconvenient, but at the same time, it is what it is.
Working moms of TikTok, I've got to know. If you are a mom that has to go into the office 4 or more days a week, how are you doing it? What are the routines, structures that you have in place to prioritize some time for you, all the time for babe, and for your partner? For context, I recently went back to work after maternity leave, which was lovely. I am excited to go back to work, not excited to now be working in the office 4 days a week. I was previously more hybrid. And so I'm just struggling to figure out how I'm going to adjust to this new normal. So I'd love any tips, because I was really looking forward to some baby snuggles as a 5-minute break in between meetings. Thankfully, my coworkers often bring their dogs into work, so at least I'll get that.
It's finally happening. During the pandemic, we all went to remote work, and slowly throughout 2021 to 2022, companies who didn't want to do fully remote moved to hybrid, right? But I always said on Twitter that these multinational companies, these conglomerates, have multi-year, multi-billion-dollar leases that most just started just before the pandemic started. There's no way they're going to allow you to work from home permanently. And people was like, no, this is a new normal, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, the economy has changed. The labor market's gotten kind of tight. Job seekers don't have the leverage that they're using. I remember a time, especially doing tech, y'all was changing jobs every 3 months. Like, that's what y'all was doing. Now, companies like AT&T, Amazon, they're starting to mandate 5 days a week back in office. And here's a conundrum with it. Most of them don't have the capacity for 100% of their employees to be in office. And they knowingly know this. There's already articles out about them having struggles and it being a bumpy thing. And people was like, why they want you to be miserable? I'm going to tell you why. When companies do layoffs, right? When they lay you off, they have to give you some type of severance. Generally, depending on your level, it's probably 60, 90 days of pay and a lump sum, that type of thing, blah, blah, blah. But if you leave, they don't have to give you anything. And I would not be shocked if some of these companies are mandating return to work, because it's bad press when they do layoffs. But you quitting ain't no bad press with that. You leaving of your own fruition is no bad press off their backs. So be very careful. Like, I know y'all will say, oh, if they make me go back to work, I would quit. I'm going to advise y'all not to quit. Make them lay you off. At least it'll give you some severance in that regard. Don't just quit and leave with nothing.
Here are a few reasons why going back into the office 3 days a week after working remote for 4.5 years was the best thing I did for my career as a 27-year-old. Also, I do have to mention that I am in a place with privilege in feeling this way because 1, I do not have any kids, and 2, I live 15 minutes away from my office. Going back into the office has shown me so many different areas of the business that I didn't know existed while I was working from home, and has also allowed me to start working on certain projects that I don't think I would have had the opportunity to work on had I only been remote. The second piece for me is the networking. So we all know that networking is everything, especially if you're in a role like I have been in business development, sales, or account management. It really is all about who you know. It's also learning how to work with other people. And I felt that when I worked remotely, all my relationships with either my coworkers or my greater teams were transactional. Whereas now, once we're face to face in the office, there's a much deeper relationship and connection there that will only progress over time and could lead to future opportunities. I have always been a very routine person, and going back into the office 3 days a week has provided me with a lot of structure. So Tuesdays through Thursdays, my days look almost exactly the same, from the time that I work out, the food I eat, what I wear, the things I do, but that works for me. I've never been one that's afraid to admit that I'd love to climb the corporate ladder, and being in person has really given me that sort of visibility, and hopefully one day really helps me achieve that goal. And off to the office I go.
Terrible day today for 2 reasons. The first reason is because I found out that my current full-time remote position that I've been doing for the past 5 years, that I left my old, better paying office job to do so that I could be with my kids in the morning before school and to be with them in the afternoon when they get out of school, has now become an in-office job. It's an office I've never been to, and I will be going there in 30 days. So now I have to figure out the logistics of getting childcare for the afternoon and the morning during that time, and also to make up the extra money that it's going to cost to have that additional childcare. And then the second issue is that I found out that none of my office clothes fit. So I haven't gone into the office since before I had my second 2 children, and none of the clothes that I have from that time fit. The ones that are closest to fitting are from when I was pregnant with my second, and even those don't fit, but they're closer. So I need to figure out in 30 days how to make those clothes fit and all the logistics of the other stuff. So wish me luck, and if you have any helpful tips on saving money or losing weight, please send them my way.
So I've been working from home for the past 4 years, or whenever COVID happened. It's been great. Before COVID, I was working in the office 5 days a week. And so now, within the last 2 weeks, I've been having to go back into the office, turn to work in the office 3 days a week. Can someone explain to me how in the world we used to go into the office 5 days a week from 8 to 4, 8 to 5, whatever, and then actually still get other things done in our lives? Like, I truly cannot fathom how we used to do that. I'm struggling going in Tuesday to Thursday, and I'm only doing like half days. I feel like I look like I've aged like 10 years from just going back into the office. Like, I'm so tired. I'm like emotionally drained. It's like way too much social interaction for me. I just can't, like, how did we go into the office 5 days a week, go to the gym after, get our laundry done, do our dishes, clean our apartments, have time for our significant others, have time to talk to friends and family, how potentially go to like a happy hour? Like, the thought of that is insane. Like, I can't compute how we did that. I really can't.
A couple months ago, I made a slightly controversial video on how I preferred a hybrid work model over a remote one, just because I appreciated in-person collaboration and like having having a reason to get dressed and go somewhere sometimes, because working remote, it's very easy to just kind of bring work to your life and life to work, and it's all in the same space, whatever. So I've really been appreciating this hybrid model, but I guess that does not matter anymore, because starting January 1st, my company will be full-time back in office 5 days a week, and we can kiss that hybrid model goodbye. I actually found out when I was on vacation this past September in Japan, and I tried to put it out of sight, out of mind for as long as I could, but now it's December 30th, and this is happening in 2 days, and I'm having a really hard time coping with the new balance and routine I'm going to have to create around this change. But also, the job market is shit, so as much as I would love to like jump ship and go for something in a hybrid or remote model, who's to say those companies are going to stay hybrid? And also, like, I really like my team, so if I leave this team to go to like a toxic, terrible team and then I'm forced back in office anyway, then what was the point? So that's where I'm at right now. I don't think I love it. I don't like being in this position, but for everybody who like was hating on the hybrid model work schedule, it can be worse, and it's about to be. And if you think that's what I get, then that's what I get. But yeah, that's all.
I have so much respect for people who can go into the office or have to go into the office 5 days a week, because I usually go in 2 days a week, and today's Wednesday and it's my 3rd day going into the office, and I just am so tired, and I have to go in tomorrow as well. And like, this is life before COVID, and that's just crazy because I've never worked like a job where you have to go in all days. And my boyfriend has to do that, and how do you guys do it?
Welcome to my return to the office rant. I live in Washington, D.C., and there has been a lot of conversation post-pandemic for probably about a year and a half of trying to get employees to return to the office, especially those who work downtown. And the main reason why these city officials are saying that they want this to happen is because they say, employees working downtown helps the small businesses there. It helps downtown be revitalized. And I completely understand what they're saying from that perspective. And at the same time, there are tons of city planners and urban planners who have beautiful ideas of how to revitalize downtowns across the country. But do these city officials listen to them? No, they do not. That's a whole nother video. This video, I'm going to talk about my rants about why I do not support people returning to the office as the offices are right now. The main thing is that so many of these companies have done nothing to invest in helping their employees have good experiences in these workplaces. So they haven't invested in making good workplace culture. The first being that most of these offices are very drab and dreary. Like, they don't have good lighting. The carpets are brown and gray, especially those federal government buildings. A lot of those are really falling apart. And they had all this time to work with experts who know how to make beautiful functioning spaces that are great for collaboration and productivity. But did they invest in that? No, they did not. And don't get me started on these open plan work spaces. Those are even more terrible. But I really think they should have invested in having people come in and revitalize and revamp these spaces. Next, have these people invested in making sure that their upper and senior level people actually know how to lead teams. No, they have not. So they have not invested in bringing in people who will do strong, meaningful change, meaning that you don't want to just invest in having an outside expert come in and do a one-day leadership training. No, I'm talking about having a team coming in and doing 12 to 24 months of coaching to these leaders so that they learn how to coach, mentor, and leader rather than just manage people. And lastly, these companies have not invested in any wellness at all. So are they investing in people coming in and not just coming in for one lunch and learn, having like a yoga teacher come in for one lunch and learn? Like, no, like, do you have a wellness expert and yoga instructor coming into the organization and having, again, a 12 to 24 month contract where they're coming in every other week and people are getting away from their desk, whether they are having lunch with a colleague or they are taking a walk, or maybe they are taking a yoga class or a meditation class or a class about breath work, something where these people are actually being invested in. I don't think enough organizations have done the work to actually make it worth employees going back to the office. They haven't changed the workplace culture, and that's why I'm against them going back to the office. Unless these companies are actually going to invest in making these workplaces nice, safe places for everybody to enjoy themselves. Considering that they spend so many hours at these places, the least y'all could do is change a light bulb and put up a painting or something, but y'all won't even do that. And that's my rant. Thank you so much for listening to it. Okay, thank you so much. Goodbye.
This is my advice for anyone who is considering going back into like a office role or like a hybrid role. For the last 2 years, I worked 100% fully remote and just went back to the company that I worked for pre-pandemic that at the time was 100% in office. Like, hybrid was like literally not a thing. And this is how I was able to basically negotiate what I needed from like a work from home or like hybrid work model standpoint. Obviously, I realized that I had a lot more leverage than a lot of people because they were pursuing me to come back, but I still think this advice rings true whether that's your situation or not. Obviously, if your company is forcing everyone back into the office, no exceptions, that may be a little bit different, but the first thing that I did that is essential in any type of job negotiation is I asked for the moon and the stars. I was very clear with them, like, hey, my current situation allows me a lot of flexibility. I'm not willing to give that up. It's really important to me. Like, I take my kids to school every day. I pick them up every day. Basically, I was just really direct about, hey, I'd be willing to come in this time for this time, these days. And I knew that there were some things that I probably would like waver on and like agree to not have, but I still asked for exactly what I wanted. But here's the caveat, and I think the biggest thing that people fail to do, When you are doing that and you're asking for the stars, you have to be the one to assure them and to commit to them that you fully intend to meet their performance expectations, and you have to explain how having this freedom, I should say, or having this flexibility probably makes more sense, is going to allow you to meet your goals, meet your expectations. And you also should probably be the one to say that, like, hey, if there's a problem, I will be the first to say we need to reevaluate what this is. So ultimately ask for what you want and then explain how that is a value add to them. Me being able to care for my family and be fully engaged when I'm working and fully focused on my family when I'm not ultimately makes me a better employee. And I was able to explain that in a way that they agreed. And for the record, for someone who literally swore I would never go back into an office ever again, I have really enjoyed it. So keep that in mind.
I think that is a healthy balance overall. If you are at work, you just focus on work. Once you are done with work, you focus on your actual personal life. There has to be a really healthy balance. And if there is not, that is when you run into serious issues and you have to reevaluate the situation, honestly. But yes, work at work, life in your personal life. Please do not mix the two because it is hard. It's very hard at times, but yes, set proper boundaries on those things, especially your personal life. You have to take that very seriously.
Okay, I'm done. Put a fork in me. I am done. So, I have been working for my company for 14 years. And the last 5 years, I've actually worked from home due to COVID. Well, last month, they told us that we had to go back into the office for 3 days a week, which I don't mind that. I really don't. I love the company I work for. I enjoy my job. However, since COVID and since I've been working from home, we moved out of Memphis into the country. Well, my office during that time also moved from Memphis, to downtown Memphis. So I have to drive an hour from where I live to work. Well, traffic is horrible in Memphis. Memphis drivers do not know how to drive. And we have a lot of carjackings in downtown Memphis. Well, really all over Memphis. We have interstate shootings. So I am an absolute nervous wreck. So by the time I get into the office, I'm in full-blown panic attack. So I'm not very pleasant to deal with until after I've had a few more cups of coffee. But anyway, has anybody else been called or you worked from home and been called back into the office? Let me know your thoughts, because honestly, I think I'm going to be less productive since I have to wake up an hour earlier to get ready, take an hour to get there, and an hour back. I'm exhausted. I've been back in the office since Tuesday. So I worked Tuesday, Wednesday, and today of this week. So I'm exhausted, and I just don't feel like I'm going to be as productive if I have to go into the office, because I'm actually giving them 3 extra hours of my time, or waking up, driving there for an hour, and driving home. So tell me, what are your thoughts? Have you been called back into the office? Let me know.
So, interesting email I got on Tuesday for my relocation. It said they want me to relocate to Washington, D.C., but don't worry about it yet. We'll tell you when, after our agency goes through reduction in force procedures. So I don't know if they're just thinking they're going to fire all of us, and so we don't actually even have to worry about relocating. But the location they picked for me was D.C. I currently live in Alabama, and my husband's on an Army base. Like, we can't move. So I will be applying for an exemption, because one of the choices is if you have like a federal spouse on that is in office and can't move. So I plan to do that, but maybe also we're just all getting fired. So it may be a moot point.
So I'm in the streets. It is 1:20 p.m. on Monday, and people are everywhere. Every restaurant I've gone past, fast food restaurants, the lines are clear around the building. There are people crawling everywhere. The lots are full. I'm going to just assume that a lot of return to work mandates or return to office mandates happened today. Like, I know for a fact there were a few, but obviously it's more than I thought because there are people everywhere. And it's not even like 11:30 or 12. It's almost 1:30. And people are like trying to get lunch. Like, a lot of people have not had to go out and get lunch in 4 years. So this is foreign to a lot of people. Like, people are everywhere. People have attitudes. People are driving like idiots. That's not unusual, but even more so. And it's crazy. These people do not need to be out here. If they have successfully worked from home for the last 3 or 4 years, they don't need to be in office. That's just a fact. And with all these reports of all these H1N1, bird flu, coronavirus, all these new things that are now, they claim is a thing now again. Like, it's just kind of goofy. Like, all these people that just want to control everybody, like, people can work from home. Most jobs, especially computer-based jobs, can be done from home. And it's just like, what is the obsession with controlling people? What is the obsession with controlling people? Take your $1 billion fucking dollars and go on a fucking island somewhere away from the rest of us. Like, just go somewhere. Go somewhere. Like, leave us the fuck alone. Like, real talk. Because we don't like you. Like, I know you don't care, but just want to let you know, we don't like you. We don't care for you really at all. But like, what 50, 60, 70-year-old that's a billionaire, hell, millionaire, wants to do anything other than sip fucking pina coladas on a fucking beach? Because that's what I would be doing, okay? Not controlling people, not telling them to go back to work. This is just, it's crazy. And like, people have not had to do this in a very, very long time. So I get it. It's dysfunctional. People are in the streets. There's traffic everywhere. Restaurants are full. Restaurant workers, I'm sure, are just like over it. Because hell, honestly, they get frustrated and have attitudes. They can barely do their fucking jobs when there's 3 people in a restaurant. Now they have lines around the building. They have lines out the door. It's just, it's insane. It's insane.
This actually kills me. Like, how did we go into the office every single day for so many years? You guys, I used to commute 2 hours each way from my parents' house to New York City. Like, I would literally leave the house at 6:30 a.m. and get home at 8 p.m. and then just do it all over again 5 days a week. How did we do that? I would die without working from home now, especially as a mom with 2 kids who are still like need me for literally everything. Like, how did we do this? If you're an office girly, like, tell me below in the comments, how do you do it? Like, literally how?
Okay, so my friend just told me that she's being forced to go back into the office full time or leave the company and get a couple months severance. It kind of just reinstills this fear I've had that we are transitioning back to mostly in the office. And it just begs the question of, is it really more so we want you here, especially for folks like my friend whose team is not even here, who don't even all live in the same location. She'd essentially be going to the office and sitting on her computer alone in the office. And so I'm just wondering, like, what is the drive? So anybody that's like in the C-suite or in these decision-making seats, it's like, what's driving this going back into the office? Especially if you're not even collaborating with anybody in your team in person. What are the benefits? Because I'm inclined to more think like, okay, do you just want more control of us? Or are you just making sure that the building owners get paid their rent and you're in cahoots somehow? I need a legit reason. Because if I can deliver my job at home and have been for the last 5 years, and I've been able to attain this like healthy work-life balance, then what are you actually getting out of me going back into the office? Please enlighten us.
So I'm officially back in the office. Yay me! But no, seriously, I want to know, since we are saving so much money, do you think we can get at least the 2-ply toilet paper? Because this 1-ply isn't very comfortable. I don't know if I should start bringing my own toilet paper to the office with me. And then also, I thought we should discuss this, my fellow federal cousins. Can we talk about things that we should not heat up in the microwaves, like fish and popcorn, because y'all leave it unattended and then it burns and then it leaves an awful reeking burning smell of popcorn, and that's yuck. And broccoli, that definitely shouldn't be heated up in the microwave either. What else can y'all think of? Those are just a few things that I can think of. And another thing, If y'all are one of those people that have really bad sinus and allergy issues and you're scratching your throat and you're making those weird sounds, can you just use sick time and call off for the day? Because some of us don't want to hear that. Okay, that's all. Bye.
I appreciate you guys watching the video today. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.